My fiancée said her ex was just a friend coming to our wedding. So I invited his wife too. Then I found the forged life insurance policy with my signature, the protein powder that was poisoning me, and the hotel receipts. When the priest asked for objections, 2 hands went up, and the cops were already waiting outside. Elena and I had been together for 3 years. She was everything my first marriage wasn't. Exciting, spontaneous, full of life. Marketing manager at some tech startup downtown, always glued to her phone, always chasing the next campaign. Her 2 kids, Mia and Caleb, were good teenagers, mostly. My son Owen got along with them well enough. We were building something, or so I thought. It was a Tuesday evening when she dropped it on me. We were sitting at the dining table, going over wedding RSVPs. Elena had this habit of making major announcements while doing mundane tasks, like she could soften the blow by pairing bad news with pasta. "Grant's coming to the wedding," she said, stabbing a piece of chicken like it owed her money. I looked up from the spreadsheet. Grant Wolf. Yeah. She didn't meet my eyes. He reached out last month, said he wanted to congratulate us. I thought it would be nice to invite him and Diana. Grant Wolf. The name tasted bitter. 15 years ago, Grant and I were business partners. We'd built a financial consulting firm from nothing, worked 60-hour weeks, survived the 2008 recession. Then one day, I discovered he'd been siphoning clients to his own side operation for 6 months. Took half our revenue and walked away with a smile. Nearly destroyed me financially. Cost me my first marriage. "Elena," I said carefully, setting down my fork. "You know what he did to me?" She waved her hand dismissively. "That was forever ago, Francis. People change. Besides, he's ancient history. Don't be jealous." Jealous. The word hung in the air like smoke. Not concerned, not uncomfortable, jealous. As if my objection was rooted in insecurity rather than a decade and a half of warranted distrust. "He's not just ancient history," I replied, keeping my voice level. "He's your ex-boyfriend from college. The one who, according to you, taught you what passion felt like." I let that quote settle between us. Elena's fork stopped midair. "I said that once, years ago, when we were drunk. 3 months ago, at your sister's birthday." Her jaw tightened. "You're making this into something it's not." "Am I?" I leaned back in my chair. "When did he reach out?" "Last month, I told you. You didn't tell me anything until just now." I watched her face, looking for tells. 20 years of reading financial statements taught you how to spot inconsistencies. "How many times have you talked to him?" "A few." She was getting defensive now, shoulders rising. "Francis, this is ridiculous. He's married. I'm marrying you. It's just a wedding invite, not a proposal." Owen walked into the kitchen, then grabbed a soda from the fridge and glanced between us. He was 17, perceptive, and had inherited his mother's ability to sense tension from 3 rooms away. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Fine," Elena said too quickly. "Your dad's just being protective." Owen looked at me. I gave him a small nod. He retreated upstairs without another word. Smart kid. After he left, Elena stood up and started clearing dishes with more force than necessary. "I already sent the invitation, Francis. They are SVP'd, yes. Unless you want to uninvite them and look petty, he's coming. Diana's coming. They'll sit in the back, smile politely, and leave." That's it. I didn't argue. Arguing was what she wanted, some emotional outburst she could weaponize later. Instead, I nodded slowly, picked up my phone, and walked to my office. Sometimes the best response isn't words. It's preparation. The next morning, I drove to the stationery store downtown. The same place Elena had dragged me to 6 months ago, insisting we needed hand-pressed invitations with gold foil edges. $200 per box, minimum order of 50. I'd signed a check without complaint because happy wife, happy life, right? Turns out investments in appearance don't guarantee returns in loyalty. The clerk recognized me. "Mr. Palmer, back for more invitations?" "Just one," I said. "Same design as before." She printed it while I waited, that cream cardstock with our names embossed at the top. "Francis Palmer and Elena Garrison request the honor of your presence." I took it home, sat at my desk, and wrote on the back in my neatest handwriting, "Diana, thought you should know Grant's attending. Would love to see you both there." Simple, polite, devastating. I sealed it with the same wax stamp Elena loved, addressed it to Diana Wolf at their home in Riverside, and drove it to the post office myself. No return address. Just the postmark and the message. Elena didn't notice. She was too busy that week, suddenly consumed with last-minute wedding details that apparently couldn't wait. New meetings with the photographer, the caterer, the venue coordinator. Her phone never left her hand. She'd type for minutes, then delete everything and start over. Owen noticed, though. He found me in the garage Saturday morning while I was organizing tools I didn't need to organize. "Dad," he said, leaning against the workbench. "You okay?" I tightened a wrench I'd already tightened. "Yeah, why?" "You're doing the thing where you get really quiet and focus on random projects." He gestured at the perfectly arranged screwdrivers. "Mom used to say you build a whole shed once instead of just telling her you were upset about her promotion." I smiled despite myself. Your mother understood me better than I gave her credit for. "So what's going on with Elena?" Owen asked directly. 17 years old, and reading me like a balance sheet. I set down the wrench. "She invited someone to the wedding I'm not thrilled about. That grand guy." Owen crossed his arms. "Mia told me about him. Said her mom dated him in college. Said he was the one that got away." He made air quotes with obvious disdain. My jaw tightened. "Mia said that. Last week. Her and Caleb were talking about it in the living room. Didn't know I could hear them." Owen kicked at the concrete floor. "Caleb said Grant texted their mom first, not the other way around. Said they've been talking for 2 months. 2 months. Not 1. 2. Thanks for telling me," I said quietly. Owen hesitated, then added, "Dad, I like Elena. I do. But Mia and Caleb, they're weird about this whole thing. Like they know something we don't. Caleb especially. He keeps saying the wedding's going to be interesting." "Interesting how?" "Didn't say. Just smirked when he said it." Owen looked uncomfortable. "I don't want to cause problems, but something feels off." I pulled him into a hug, brief but firm. "You're not causing problems. You're being observant. That's important." After Owen went inside, I stood in the garage for a long time. Elena had lied about the timeline. Her own kids knew more than I did. And whatever was coming, they were anticipating it like spectators at a car crash. Monday morning, Elena's phone buzzed during breakfast. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. "Everything okay?" I asked, pouring coffee. "Fine," she said too quickly, typing fast. "Just the florist confirming delivery. Thought we confirmed that last week. They wanted a double check." She stood up, grabbing her purse. "I've got an early meeting. See you tonight." She kissed my cheek and rushed out. I waited until her car disappeared, then checked our joint wedding planner app. The one she thought I'd stopped monitoring after our argument about seating charts. New message thread. Not from a florist. From someone named Christy Brennan, our wedding coordinator. "Got your message." He confirmed. "Saturday at 3. Don't worry. Everything's handled." I scrolled up. Found Elena's message from yesterday. "Need to make sure Grant's seated close enough. Francis can't know we rearranged things." My coffee went cold in my hands. I hired a private investigator Wednesday morning. Not some Hollywood character in a trench coat. Just a retired cop named Bill Santos who specialized in background checks for my business clients. We met at a diner off Highway 9, away from anyone who might recognize us. "What do you need?" Bill asked, sliding into the booth across from me. I handed him a folder. "Everything on Grant Wolf. Financial records, phone logs if you can get them, travel history for the last 6 months. And this woman, Christy Brennan, she's our wedding coordinator. I want to know her connection to my fiancée beyond professional." Bill flipped through the pages, his expression neutral. "This about the wedding or something else?" "Both," I said. "My gut says they're planning something. I need to know what before I'm standing at an altar looking like an idiot." He nodded slowly. "Give me 72 hours. I'll have what you need." 48, I countered. "Wedding's in 3 weeks. 60, final offer. Good work takes time." He pocketed the folder. "Francis, you sure you want to go down this road? Sometimes knowing ruins what's left." "What's left is already ruined," I replied. "I just need proof." That evening, Elena came home late again. She'd been working late 3 times that week, or so she claimed. Her marketing job usually kept her until 6, but suddenly 8:30 was the new normal. "How was work?" I asked as she dropped her purse on the counter. "Exhausting," she said, kicking off her heels. "Client presentation ran long." "You eat already." "Made pasta. Saved you some." I gestured toward the covered plate on the stove. She smiled, The same smile she used when posting sponsored content on Instagram. Bright, empty. You're the best. While she ate, I watched her carefully. She checked her phone 4 times in 10 minutes. Each time, her expression shifted slightly, like she was reading something that required careful responses. Elena, I said casually, Mia mentioned something interesting the other day. Her 4 paused. Oh, said Caleb's excited about the wedding. Thinks it'll be interesting. I let the word hang. Any idea what he meant? She resumed eating too quickly. You know teenagers. Everything's drama. He specifically said the wedding would be interesting. Not fun, not exciting. Interesting. Francis, I don't interrogate your son about every random comment he makes. Her voice had an edge now. Can we not analyze my kids' vocabulary choices? Just curious what they know that I don't. She set down her fork. What's that supposed to mean? Means Caleb seems to know something about Saturday that makes him smirk when he talks about it. I leaned back in my chair. You want to tell me what that is? There's nothing to tell. She stood up, plate still half full. I'm going to bed. Long day tomorrow. She left the kitchen before I could respond. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, the bedroom door closing with more force than necessary. My phone buzzed. Text from Bill Santos. Found something already. Christy Brennan worked at Grant Wolf's company 4 years ago. Executive assistant. Still listed on his corporate accounts as a consultant. They're connected. I stared at the message for a long time. Elena hadn't just invited Grant to our wedding. She hired someone who worked for him to coordinate it. This wasn't nostalgia. This was collaboration. I texted back. Keep digging. Especially financial transactions between Elena and either of them. His reply came immediately. On it. Diana Wolf called me Thursday afternoon. I was in my home office reviewing client portfolios when my phone rang with an unknown number. Mr. Palmer? Her voice was measured, careful. This is Diana Wolf. I received your invitation. I leaned back in my chair. Thank you for calling. I need to know why you sent it. Direct. No pleasantries. I appreciated that. Because I think we should meet before the wedding, I said. Compare notes. There was a pause. My husband told me he reconnected with Elena last month. Said it was innocent, just old friends catching up. Did he mention they've been talking for 2 months? Or that Elena hired a wedding coordinator who used to work for him? The silence stretched longer this time. When Diana spoke again, her voice had changed. Harder. No, he didn't mention that. There's a coffee shop on Maple Street, corner of 5th. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. I think you and I need to have a conversation. I'll be there, she said, then hung up. Friday morning came cold and overcast. I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early, ordered 2 black coffees, and sat at a corner table where we could talk privately. Diana walked in at exactly 10. 46 years old, dressed in business casual, hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. She looked like someone who'd spent years perfecting the art of appearing unshakable. But her eyes told a different story. I stood as she approached. Diana. Francis. She sat down without shaking hands, accepting the coffee I'd bought her. Let's not waste time. What do you know? I pulled out my phone, opened the photos I'd taken of Elena's messages with Christy Brennan. Your husband's invited to my wedding. My fiancé's been coordinating with a woman who works for Grant. They're planning something, and neither of us is supposed to know about it. Diana studied the screen, her jaw tightening. Grant's been distant for months. Distracted. Comes home late. Claims it's work projects. I've been married to him 12 years, Mr. Palmer. I know what work stress looks like. This isn't it. You think he's having an affair? I think he's planning to. She set down the phone. Your fiancée isn't the first woman Grant's reconnected with from his past. 3 years ago, it was someone from his gym. Before that, a colleague. He has a pattern. Gets bored. Chases nostalgia. Realizes the fantasy is better than reality. Comes back. You stay anyway. Her expression hardened. We have 2 children, Mr. Palmer. A house, a life. I'm not naive. I know what I'm working with. But this time feels different. He's not just distracted. He's planning. Planning what? That's what I need you to help me find out. Diana pulled out her own phone. I have access to his email. Found messages to Elena dating back 3 months. Nothing explicit yet, just emotional. But there's money moving. $40,000 transferred to an account I don't recognize 2 weeks ago. $40,000. The same amount Elena had suddenly wanted to contribute to our wedding budget, claiming she'd gotten a bonus. Do you have records of those transfers? I asked. Screenshots. She slid her phone across the table. And I want to know where this goes. Because if Grant's planning to leave me, I'm not making it easy. I looked at the financial records. Account holder, Cale Brennan. Christy. They're funneling money through the wedding coordinator, I said slowly. Elena must have given her cash. Christy's holding it. Probably for after. After what? I met Diana's eyes. After they blow up both our lives and run off together. Diana didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. Not warm, not kind. The smile of someone who just found a knife meant for their back. Then I suggest we make sure that doesn't happen. What did you have in mind? You invited me to your wedding, Mr. Palmer. I accepted. But I think we both know this isn't going to be a celebration. She finished her coffee in one long drink. It's going to be a reckoning. Bill Santos called Monday morning with the full report. I met him at the same diner, this time ordering nothing, just sitting across from him as he slid a manila envelope across the table. You were right to be suspicious, Bill said quietly. Grant Wolf's been in contact with Elena for 4 months, not 2. Found phone records, restaurant receipts, hotel bookings. My chest tightened. Hotels. 3 different locations. All upscale. All registered under his credit card. Dates match up with nights Elena said she was working late. He pulled out highlighted receipts. February 14th, March 8th, April 2nd. Valentine's Day. Our anniversary. The night she claimed her boss needed an emergency presentation. There's more, Bill continued. Christy Brennan's been transferring money between accounts. Elena deposits cash. Christy moves it offshore to a Cayman account registered to a shell corporation. Grant's listed as the managing partner. How much total? $73,000 over 3 months. Bill met my eyes. Francis, they're not just having an affair. They're building an exit strategy. I sat back, processing. $73,000. Elena's salary couldn't support that. Where's she getting the money? That's the concerning part. He flipped to another page. Your joint savings account shows 3 withdrawals over the past 12 weeks. $10,000 each time. Signed off by Elena using your shared access. $30,000 of my money. Funding her escape with my business partner, who destroyed me once already. And there's this. Bill pulled out a final document. Life insurance policy. Taken out 5 weeks ago. You're the insured. Elena's the beneficiary. $750,000. My hands went cold. I never signed that. Your signature's on the application. He turned it toward me. That's your signature, right? I studied it. The loops, the slant, the way I crossed my T's. Perfect forgery. That's not my signature. It's close, but the capital F is wrong. I always make it taller. Bill nodded slowly. Then she forged it, which means she's planning something worse than just leaving. I thought about the insurance policies Diana mentioned, about her first husband who died under mysterious circumstances 7 years ago. Heart attack at 41, she'd said. Unexplained, sudden. But the insurance paid out $400,000. Bill, I need you to look into Elena's first husband, Daniel Garrison. Died 7 years ago. What am I looking for? Anything suspicious. Medical records, insurance claims, police reports. Anything that doesn't add up. He pocketed his notepad. I'll have it by Wednesday. Francis, you need to be careful. If she's willing to forge insurance documents, she's willing to do worse. After Bill left, I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, staring at the insurance policy. 750,000 reasons for me to die before the wedding, or shortly after. That evening, I installed cameras in my house. Small, hidden, recording everything. Kitchen, living room, garage. Anywhere Elena might slip and reveal her plans. Then I called Diana. We need to move faster, I told her when she answered. Found life insurance. Forged signature. She's planning something. Diana's voice was sharp. Grant just asked me to increase his policy to $1 million. Said it was smart financial planning with the kids getting older. Don't sign anything. I won't. But Francis, we can't just sit on this. If they're planning what I think they're planning, we need to involve the police. Not yet. No proof of intent, just suspicious patterns. They'll claim it's coincidence. I pulled into my driveway. Saw Elena's car already there. But I'm documenting everything. And I'm making a change to the wedding plans. What kind of change? You'll see Saturday. Just trust me. Inside, Elena was cooking dinner, humming along to music playing from her phone. She smiled when I walked in, that same manufactured warmth she'd perfected. "Hey, babe," she said, kissing my cheek. "How was your day?" "Productive," I replied, hanging up my jacket. "Wrapped up some client issues." "Yours?" "Crazy busy. Campaign launch next week." She turned back to the stove. "Oh, I'm going to ask. Have you thought about updating your life insurance? Christy mentioned it's smart to do before the wedding." There it was, delivered casually, like she was asking about dinner reservations. Why would Christy mention my life insurance? I asked carefully. She used to work in financial services. Just giving advice. Elena shrugged. "I already increased mine. Thought you should too." "I'll think about it," I said, watching her face for any tells. She smiled. "Great. I can have Christy send you the forms." Bill called Wednesday afternoon with information about Daniel Garrison. I was in my office, supposedly working on client portfolios, actually planning how to survive my own wedding. "Francis, you're going to want to sit down for this," Bill said. I closed my office door. "What did you find?" "Daniel Garrison died of cardiac arrest, officially, but the medical examiner's report shows elevated levels of potassium in his blood work. Not enough to trigger an investigation, but enough to note as unusual. Potassium. In high doses, it mimics heart attack. Hard to detect, harder to prove." Bill's tone was grim. "Hospital ran standard toxicology, found nothing illegal. Case closed." But I talked to one of the nurses who worked that night. She remembered the case because Elena kept asking when the life insurance would pay out. Before Daniel was even buried. My jaw clenched. What else? 2 incidents before he died. Daniel went to the ER 6 weeks earlier with severe stomach issues. Doctors thought it was food poisoning. Then again, 3 weeks later, same symptoms. Third time was fatal. He paused. "Francis, that's a pattern. Anyone investigate Elena?" "No. No reason to. Grieving widow, small town hospital, overworked police department. She collected $400,000 and moved to Denver 6 months later. Clean slate, new life." I thought about my own mysterious stomach issues last month. The headaches, the fatigue Elena had dismissed as stress. How she'd made me special smoothies every morning, insisted I drink them for my health. The smoothies I'd stopped drinking 2 weeks ago when my symptoms disappeared. "Bill, I need you to do something else." "Name it." "Find out if Elena's been purchasing anything unusual. Garden supplies, cleaning products, anything that could be used to synthesize potassium compounds. You think she's trying to poison you. I think she's done it before, and I think I got lucky by changing my routine." I opened my desk drawer, pulled out the container of protein powder Elena had given me last month. "I'm sending you this. Have it tested. Francis, if this test's positive, you need to go to the police. After the wedding. I want her caught red-handed with witnesses." I sealed the powder in a plastic bag. "Can you get results by Friday?" "I'll try. But you can't drink or eat anything she gives you until then. Already ahead of you." That night, Elena made dinner again. Chicken, rice, vegetables. She served me first, her portion second. "You seem distracted," she said, sitting down across from me. "Just thinking about the wedding. 3 days away." I cut into the chicken, watched the juice run clear. "Excited. Nervous," she admitted. "Big step, you know. Combining families, futures." She reached across the table, took my hand. "But I'm ready. Are you?" I looked at her. This woman I'd planned to spend my life with. Her eyes were clear, her smile genuine. If I didn't know what I knew, I believe every word. "Absolutely," I said, squeezing her hand. "Can't wait." She beamed. "I love you, Francis." "Love you too," I replied, and meant none of it. After dinner, while she showered, I scraped my entire meal into a plastic bag and hid it in the garage. Tomorrow, Bill would test it along with the protein powder. My phone buzzed. Text from Diana. "Grant just booked a flight to Mexico. Departure Sunday morning. One-way ticket." I replied, "Elena probably is one too. Let them think they're getting away with it." Diana, "This is insane." Me, "Saturday's going to be more insane. Be ready." Friday morning, Bill called with the lab results. I was in the garage, supposedly organizing tools, actually avoiding Elena, who'd been unervingly cheerful all week. The protein powder tested positive for potassium chloride, Bill said without preamble. Enough to cause cardiac issues over time. The dinner sample you gave me? Same thing. Lower concentration, but present. I leaned against the workbench, letting the confirmation settle. How long would it take to kill someone? Depends on dosage, frequency, the person's health. Could be weeks, could be months. Designed to look natural. He paused. Francis, this is attempted murder. You need to involve the police now. Tomorrow. After the wedding. I checked the garage door, made sure it was closed. I want her caught in front of everyone. Witnesses, documentation, no way to deny what she's been planning. That's risky. Living with her for 3 more weeks while she poisons me is riskier. I grab my keys. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. Tell me you'll be at the wedding tomorrow with everything we've gathered. I'll be there. But Francis, what are you planning? Justice. The kind that comes with an audience. I packed a bag while Elena was at her final dress fitting. Left her a note saying I was staying at Owen's for the night. Tradition about not seeing the bride before the wedding. She texted back a string of heart emojis. At the hotel, I met with Diana one last time. She brought her own evidence, printed and organized in a 3-ring binder. Grant's been liquidating assets all week, she said, spreading papers across the bed. Sold his boat, his vintage car collection, pulled money from retirement accounts. He's converting everything to cash. How much? Combined with what Elena funneled through Christie? Close to $200,000. Diana's expression was stone. They're not just running. They're vanishing. Not if tomorrow goes according to plan. I pulled out my phone, showed her the seating chart. I moved you and Grant to the front row, right next to Elena's family. Close enough to hear everything. Diana studied it. You're putting us on display. I'm putting everyone on display. Grant, Elena, Christie. All of them in positions where they can't hide. I switched to another app. And I've got this. It was a modified ceremony script. The officiant, Father Mike from my church who'd known me 20 years, had agreed to make one significant change. Diana read it and smiled. Not warmly. When the officiant asks if anyone objects, he's going to pause. Look directly at specific people. Give them time to react. I met her eyes. You ready to raise your hand? I've been ready since Tuesday. She closed the binder. What about Owen? Does he know? He knows enough. Knows to keep Mia and Caleb away from their mother after the ceremony. I sat down heavily. He asked me this morning if we were really getting married. I told him to trust me. That's a lot to put on a 17-year-old. He's tougher than I was at 17. Smarter too. I checked my watch. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be long. After Diana left, I called Owen. Dad. He sounded worried. You okay? I'm fine. Listen, tomorrow at the wedding, no matter what happens, I need you to stay with Mia and Caleb. Don't let them leave the church until I tell you it's safe. What's going to happen? The truth. Finally. I heard him exhale. Owen, I need you to know something. Whatever you see tomorrow, whatever Elena says, I did everything I could to make this work. I know, Dad. She's the one who messed up. His voice was firm. We all see it. Even her kids know something's wrong. They say anything. Caleb told me yesterday his mom's been crying a lot. Says she keeps apologizing to him for things that haven't happened yet. Owen paused. Dad, that's weird, right? Yeah, that's weird. Guilt, maybe. Or fear that her plan was unraveling. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we end this. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. 72 degrees, cloudless sky, light breeze. The kind of day Elena had dreamed about for months. The universe had a sense of humor. I arrived at the church an hour early. Father Mike met me in his office, dressed in his ceremonial robes, reading glasses perched on his nose. Francis, I've married 200 couples in 30 years, he said carefully. Never once had a groom ask me to pause during the objections and look at specific guests. You sure about this? More sure than I've been about anything. I handed him a photo. That's Grant Wolf. Front row, left side. That's Diana, his wife, next to him. When you ask if anyone objects, look at them. Give them time. And if they don't object, they will. I straightened my tie. Trust me. Guests started arriving. I stood in the vestibule, shaking hands, accepting congratulations, watching the door for the people who mattered. Diana arrived first, elegant in navy blue, her expression serene. Grant followed 10 minutes later, uncomfortable in a suit too tight across the shoulders. He avoided eye contact with me. Christy Brennan fluttered around with her clipboard, directing guests, adjusting flowers, playing her role perfectly. She didn't know Bill Santos was seated in the back row, camera ready, recording everything. Elena's family filled the right side of the church. My colleagues and friends took the left. Owen sat in the front row with some of my colleagues, watching everything with the sharp awareness of someone expecting disaster. Both teenagers watched everything with the sharp awareness of people expecting disaster. Then Elena arrived. She looked beautiful. White dress, perfect makeup, flowers in her hair. Everything she planned meticulously for months. She smiled at guests through the bridal suite window, posed for photos, laughed at jokes. If I didn't know she'd been poisoning me for weeks, I'd think she was genuinely happy. The music started. Everyone stood. Elena walked down the aisle on her father's arm, eyes locked on mine, smile radiant. When she reached the altar, her father placed her hand in mine. "Take care of my daughter," he whispered. "I'll take care of everything," I replied. Father Mike began the ceremony. Standard words, familiar rituals. We exchanged vows I'd written weeks ago, before I knew the truth. Elena's voice shook when she promised to love me in sickness and health. Appropriate, considering she'd been working on the sickness part. Then came the moment. "If anyone here knows any reason why these two should not be joined in marriage," Father Mike said, his voice carrying through the silent church, "speak now, or forever hold your peace." He paused. Not the quick, ceremonial pause most officiants used. A real pause. 5 seconds. 10. He looked directly at Diana. She stood up slowly. Every head turned. "I object," Diana said clearly. Gasps rippled through the pews. Elena's hand tightened on mine painfully. Grant half stood, then froze. "On what grounds?" Father Mike asked, playing his part. "On the grounds that the bride has been conducting an affair with my husband for 4 months. On the grounds that she's been stealing money from her fiancé to fund an escape plan. On the grounds that she forged Francis Palmer's signature on a life insurance policy worth $750,000. The church erupted. Whispers turned to exclamations. Elena's mother stood up, shouting denials. Grant tried to move toward the exit, but Bill Santos blocked the aisle. Father Mike looked at me. I nodded. Then I raised my hand too. The room went silent again. "I also object," I said calmly. "On the grounds that Elena Garrison has been systematically poisoning me for 6 weeks. On the grounds that her first husband died under similar circumstances 7 years ago. On the grounds that she, Grant Wolfe, and Christy Brennan have been conspiring to commit fraud and possibly murder." Elena's face drained of color. "Francis, what are you?" "I have lab reports," I continued, pulling papers from my jacket. "Potassium chloride in my protein powder, my food, my coffee. I have financial records showing theft. I have recordings of your conversations with Grant planning your exit to Mexico. And I have a district attorney waiting outside with a warrant for your arrest." The church doors opened. 2 police officers entered, followed by a woman in a suit carrying a briefcase. "Elena Garrison," the woman said, approaching the altar. "I'm Assistant District Attorney Sarah Vincent. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, and attempted murder." The police station was cold and fluorescent, nothing like the warm church we'd left an hour ago. I sat in a conference room with Diana, Bill Santos, and Assistant District Attorney Sarah Vincent, watching through one-way glass as Elena was processed. "The lab confirmed potassium chloride in 3 separate food samples," Sarah said, reviewing her notes. "Combined with the forged insurance documents and the financial trail, we have a solid case for attempted murder and fraud." "What about Grant and Christy?" Diana asked. "Grant's being charged as an accomplice. Christy's cooperating in exchange for reduced charges. She's giving us everything." Sarah looked at me. "Mr. Palmer, Christy confirmed that Elena planned to file the insurance claim within 3 months of marriage. She even had the story prepared. You'd collapse from a heart attack during a morning jog. I thought about all those times Elena encouraged me to run more, to push myself harder. Every kindness had been strategic." "What happens to her kids?" I asked. "Mia and Caleb are with their grandmother. Child Services is involved." Sarah's expression softened. "Your son Owen gave a statement this afternoon. Said the kids suspected something was wrong, but were too scared to speak up. They're victims too," I said quietly. "Elena used them as props." Diana spoke up. "What about Daniel Garrison's case? Elena's first husband. We're reopening it. Medical examiner found enough inconsistencies to warrant further investigation." Sarah closed her folder. "Mr. Palmer, you did the right thing. If you'd married her, we might be investigating your death instead." After the police station, I drove to the hotel where Owen was waiting. He stood up when I entered, and I pulled him into a hug. It's over, I told him. Is she going to prison? Probably. For a long time. I sat down heavily. Owen, I'm sorry you had to see all that. Dad, you saved yourself. You didn't let her get away with it. He shook his head. That's not something to apologize for. That's something to be proud of. Smart kid. Too smart. My phone buzzed. Text from Diana. Grant confessed. Trying to negotiate a plea deal. He's giving up everyone to save himself. I showed Owen. Your former business partner? Former everything. He's out of my life permanently now. I put the phone away. Let's go home. Our home, or the one with all Elena's stuff. Our home. I'm selling that house. Too many bad memories. I stood up. We're starting fresh. New place, new life. Just you and me for a while. Owen smiled. Sounds perfect. 11 months later, I stood in my new home office, looking out at the mountain view I'd chosen specifically for mornings like this. Owen was at college, thriving. Mia and Caleb were in therapy, living with their grandmother, slowly healing from their mother's choices. Elena had been sentenced to 18 years. Grant got 15. Christy received 5 years probation for cooperating. The news had covered it extensively. Wedding day arrests, poison groom escapes death, Black widow caught before third victim. I didn't watch any of it. Moved forward instead. Diana and I remained friends. She divorced Grant, rebuilt her life, started dating a high school teacher who treated her with actual respect. We had coffee once a month, compared notes on healing, laughed about the absurdity of trusting the wrong people. You ever think about dating again? She asked during our last meeting. Not yet. Maybe next year. I smiled. For now, I'm focused on working Owen. That's enough. Smart man. Bill Santos still sent me cases occasionally. I'd become something of a specialist in helping people investigate partners before marriage. Background checks, financial audits, the works. If my experience could save someone else, it was worth it. My business had grown too. Clients appreciated someone who understood that trust required verification. My reputation as the consultant who'd survive his own wedding day disaster brought in more work than I could handle. I didn't think about Elena much anymore. She was a chapter that ended, a lesson learned, a bullet dodged. Nothing more. My phone rang. Owen, calling from campus. Hey, Dad. Just want to tell you I got an A on my criminal psychology paper. The one about fraud cases. Yeah. Professor said it was the most detailed analysis she'd read in years. He paused. Thanks for letting me use your story. It really helped illustrate the concepts. Happy to contribute to your education, I said, smiling. Even if it's trauma-based. He laughed. You good though? Really? Really? Better than I've been in years. And I meant it. You coming home for Thanksgiving? Wouldn't miss it. After we hung up, I returned to my desk. New client intake form. Woman asking me to investigate her fiancé's background before their wedding. I'd start Monday. My email pinged. Message from Father Mike. Francis, wanted to let you know I'm retiring next month. 32 years, 200 weddings, 1 arrest. Quite a career. Thanks for keeping things interesting. I replied, thanks for having my back that day. Saved my life. His response came immediately. That's what the job's about. Protecting the sacred from the profane. Be well, my friend. I looked around my office. Photos of Owen at college. Certificates from satisfied clients. A framed quote on the wall. Trust, but verify. Words I'd live by permanently now. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find a delivery driver holding flowers. Francis Palmer? He asked. That's me. He handed me the bouquet. White roses, elegant arrangement. The card read, To New Beginnings. Diana, reminding me that survival was worth celebrating. I put the flowers in a vase, set them on my desk where I'd see them every morning. A reminder that I'd faced the worst someone could plan for me and walked away stronger. Not everyone got that chance. I didn't waste mine.